All right, everybody, here we are. Pixel Dan joining us. Man, we were going to do this a couple weeks ago. You had a major life event, so congratulations on the new addition to the family.
Oh, thank you so much, man. And thanks for having me on the show. I'm glad that I'm finally here.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Feels like we've been planning this for a long time.
It's all good. Everybody's busy. It's kind of, I don't know if you've heard, it's kind of a weird time in the world. And we're all just trying to get by, but you definitely appreciate you being on. We had connected. I'm trying to think when it was. I guess it was technically this year. Met you at a convention in South Carolina, the toy convention there, which turned out to be a good little show. That was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was Retro Toy Con.
Yep.
It was my first time out. It was my first time going to a con in South Carolina at all. But it was, a fantastic show. Really fun weekend. So if conventions are ever a thing again, I'm looking forward to going back to that one.
Right. Yeah, that was a good one. And I guess that's the weird thing. We had this big year planned, right? So we did that. And then we were up in New York for Toy Fair. And I know you were there, obviously. And, from there, we were supposed to be at the Ghostbusters world premiere this week, but that's, next March now. And then we were going to be going to, San Diego. So it's been one thing after another. And then Dragon Con, which is our local Atlanta convention. So it's all gone.
That's same with me. I mean, it's really weird to me that it's July right now and I'm not like leaving for Comic-Con in the next 2 weeks, because that's been my life for the past decade,
right?
Going to covering Comic-Con is such a big part of what I do that it's so weird that it's just not a thing. Like something is missing in my life right now. It feels weird.
Right. Yeah. And they're going to try their best with the virtual panels and the reveals and stuff. It won't be the same, but we'll, hopefully by next year we'll figure out how to adjust to everything. Yeah, but Toy Fair was great. So I did see you at Toy Fair. You were doing your thing, we were doing our thing, and that was our first Toy Fair. So you've been doing it forever. You're the elder statesman. So we were just kind of like in it's much like it's like shock and awe your first time. You can't even contain your excitement, and then you try to have a level of professionalism, and it's just it's crazy. So I guess where we have to start and where everybody's expecting us to start is coming out of their shells. We have to start there. So NECA made the announcement yesterday. We had Randy and Trevor from NECA on our show a couple weeks ago.
And sweet. That's awesome.
And they're great. They were really good about not dropping too many hints. But it was one of these weird things where I'm a huge fan of the Coming Out of the Shells tour. We all are here. Our original theme song was Pizza Power. Then we took it down.
Nice.
Early on in podcasting, we realized like, oh, you can't use other people's music.
Yeah.
But it was there for like 6 months. But it's insane. I will say my reaction was I was completely shocked and also not surprised at all. So what was your feeling yesterday?
I mean, it's just exactly the kind of thing you would expect NECA to do, right? And anytime there's something that you don't think there will ever be an action figure of, NECA seems to be those magicians that make these random things, these obscure things a reality, and they make us all want them. So there's been heavy rumors that it was going to be the Coming Out of Their Shells tour, which, by the way, I noticed that on the package it doesn't say that. It calls them like the it calls it like
it's like the mutagen the mutagen something tour.
So there must be something weird with the rights with Coming Out of Their Shell tour. That was like a promotional thing with Pizza Hut and everything. Makes me wonder if there's something weird going on with the trademark, but it doesn't matter because we still know exactly what it is. And, I know that I think he dropped some pretty heavy rumors on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast with Matt Cardona.
Yep.
And so like ever since then, it's kind of like we all knew it was coming. And I love it, man. And it's so weird that there's no Comic-Con this year, because this is what I would consider the perfect convention exclusive. Convention exclusives should be the weird and obscure stuff like this that maybe not everybody wants.
Right.
Because if you feel like you want to skip it, you don't feel as bad about it because it's a convention exclusive. You know what I mean? So I always think that convention exclusive should always be this, niche stuff that not everybody is going to feel like they need. But if you really want it, it's something special that you can get. But now we don't even have a Comic-Con this year, so it's just like a Target exclusive.
Right.
So,
It's
I don't know
weird.
if that's like putting extra pressure on it or
yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird. I get very much consumed in the things that I love, and we all do here at the podcast. It's usually three of us, but I try to spare, sometimes when we have a new guest on, that 3-on-1 attack can be very stressful. I know it's stressful for me, so I can't imagine how it is for the guests. So we'll introduce you to the Yes Have Some crew lightly over time. But yeah, it does suck that we're not going to have it at San Diego, and this definitely fits the bill of an exclusive that I personally feel like if you're a Ninja Turtles fan and you grew up, if your age bracket hits that, if you were of a certain age in 1990, I don't know how you could not want this set. To me, I got to get two of them because there's two different looks. You can do the with the vest look, on stage, and then there's the promo look with the star on the on Michelangelo's eye. But I love the box, like the way that you're going to be able to unfold it and have a stage set up. Like that's just genius. Like NECA just time and time again, they kill it. Like there's nothing else to say.
It's so cool. There was some brief discussion on social media right before they revealed them with people kind of wondering like which version it was going to be. Is it going to be the ones from like the VHS tape or is it going to be the actual stage show? I don't know why I didn't realize that it's NECA. So of course it's going to be both. Right. Of course they're going to make it so that you can swap out parts. I thought that was genius. As soon as I saw that, I was like, man, that's amazing. You could do either version. And I know it's one of those things too where a lot of fans, I think, or just people in general, we kind of look at that era and go, ugh, like that's so cringy. It's so weird. But like me personally, I love that kind of stuff. I love the campy stuff. And I kind of embrace the silly side of a lot of these, pop culture fads and phenomenons. I love it. You know what I mean? Like Masters of the Universe had the Power Tour. They did the same thing. I think it's amazing. I've been asking Mattel to give us Songster from the Power Tour for years, which is just some silly singing character that was created for basically He-Man's version of the Out of Their Shells tour.
Right.
So
I love it.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to lean, sometimes people get very precious about these older properties that we love. Like when you go back and watch, I mean, we had on Ninja Turtles today, like ever since that announcement happened yesterday, I go in these modes. So I'm in TMNT mode this week, and I was watching some old episodes of the animated series, and like, it's just silly fun at the end of the day. So to me, even something like people talk about, I saw somebody comment on Facebook or something like the Coming Out of the Shells tour is the lowest point in Turtles history. It's like, calm down, calm down. Like,
yeah, I know. I mean, the comments that I was getting on Twitter just by retweeting or sharing the news, it was amazing because it was so half and half. Like half the people are excited or they love it or they think it's silly and they think it's funny or But then there was another half of people that were just like, I will never spend money on that. What are they thinking? I would have rather had this and this and this, and it's just like, man, we could always do that, guys. Like anytime something gets revealed, there's always going to be 1,000 other things that you wanted instead.
Right.
That's just not how this works.
Well, I knew when
it's just
yeah, and I knew when Randy said, I'll watch anything Randy does. I watch. So obviously all the stuff you do with him at Toy Fair, any interview, because he's really good. He's so much better, and NECA is so much better than any other modern toy company, large or small, at getting in front of the fans and having that direct communication. So you got to kind of read between the lines. And when he was saying our exclusive it perfectly captures this moment in time, to me, I was like, oh, it has to be this.
Yeah.
And listen, there's more characters in that show. There's, you got to get April and Shredder and Splinter, which, Shredder and Splinter are just awful looking. I think they would make great action figures.
I know. I'm already challenging NECA to give me that Shredder.
Yeah. I mean, I went to the tour. I mean, that was my first live event.
That's awesome.
I was 4 or 5 years old, whatever it was. And definitely, a seminal moment in my life. So to have an action figure form is perfect.
Yeah.
And then, Back to the Future and Jaws and just everything NECA's doing is just, I get excited about it. It kind of gets me through the day.
It's awesome. I mean, Randy's always said when I've talked to him in these interviews and everything that him and the rest of the NECA crew basically make the toys that they wanted when they were kids. They're us but they're the toy company. You know what I mean? So they're all these things that they loved growing up. They've now got the chance to play in those sandboxes, and they love that, and they respect that, and they're trying to make the coolest toys that they could make, that fans like them will also appreciate. And I think that is just so cool. How many of us get the opportunity to love something all our lives and then grow up and have the chance to work on that thing that we love so much? And I think it's awesome. And it really kind of speaks to, the love and care that they put into their product. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, that's everything. That's everything. And knowing that they're fans themselves and knowing that they care, and Randy will be the first person to, when he doesn't like an idea, it breaks my heart every time he'll kind of put down TMNT 3, because I have such a soft spot in my heart for that movie.
Man, he put down Secret of the Ooze forever too.
Yeah.
I broke him down, I think, on Toka and Razar, because for years I was going, when am I going to get Secret of the Ooze figures? Yep. And he was always like, nope, not interested. Only care about the first movie.
Right.
And finally, here we are getting Toka and Razar and Super Shredder, and they look amazing.
They're incredible. When we were at Toy Fair, we walked into the NECA booth. It's the first thing we did. It was, before the Hasbro event that day. Never being at Toy Fair, going into the NECA, having no idea what's going on, and I literally walked out. I was like, I can't handle what's in there. I can't take it. So what, as a Ninja Turtles fan, what's your dream NECA item? Or it doesn't have to be NECA. I mean, I know Super 7's doing stuff too. I don't personally collect those. I'd like to. It's just, there's only so much money to go around.
There's so much. Well, and that's like a blessing and a curse right now, because we can't, it's hard to afford everything, right? There's so many, but I love that we have so many options right now. Right. And I love that what Super 7 is doing is different than what NECA is giving us. So you've got, right now, we've got toys that are based on the original toy designs, if you like those, from Super 7, or based on the original movies, right, or based on the original cartoon, or based on the video games. It's unbelievable. We've never had this much variety with Ninja Turtles at any point in history.
Right.
Never. So I think that's amazing. But yes, it can also be a curse because it's expensive. Yes. So it's tough to say what my dream thing is right now. Toka and Razar were really high on my list from NECA. Now we're getting those. So those were knocked off my list. I really think it's cool that Super 7's doing figures based on the old toys, because that old toy line is kind of what made me fall in love with Turtles to begin with. And it is very much its own thing. A lot of people just kind of think about the old cartoon and the old toy line hand in hand, but the designs are so different. They're so different between those two things.
Thing,
yeah. So the fact that we're now getting the Four Horsemen, who I've loved their work for years anyway, with all the He-Man stuff that I collect. Now they're over there doing what they did with He-Man, but for Ninja Turtles, which is my other favorite property. I mean, that's amazing to me too. So I've got all these amazing stuff, all these amazing movie and cartoon figures from NECA, and now I've got these amazing Four Horsemen sculpted Super 7 figures that are based on the original toy line that I fell in love with. It's amazing. And they're doing Mutagen Man right out the gate, who was my favorite toy as a kid.
Best.
So
it's the best. And
so cool.
I make these big proclamations. Anybody who listens to our podcast knows, the second I say I'm not going to collect a certain brand or certain line is usually the day before I start. So I'm going to try to stay away from the Super 7 stuff. But if there's I know you can't see me right now, but I've got a bunch of Ninja Turtles behind me. There's just certain characters I'm not 100% sure if I'm ever going to have scratch, right? But
sure,
if they were to do that, I would invest $50 in a bigger, more detailed Scratch.
Yeah, and like a modern version of Scratch, man, that'd be a no-brainer. They got to do Scratch.
Right.
Everybody would buy a Scratch.
Everybody would buy Scratch, and like, you know, just that line went on for years. There's just that's the cool thing about something like Super 7. You know, this is where toy lines like He-Man and Ninja Turtles really have an advantage over something like Ghostbusters, because with Ghostbusters, it's still a niche, and Ghostbusters is always going to be my number one.
Sure.
But, you know, people for years have been asking for, you know, more of the ghosts and more of the, you know, like Sandman and all that. And
of course, that's my favorite part of the Ghostbusters stuff, especially when we're talking real Ghostbusters.
Exactly.
More toys of those ghosts is what we want, and we never get those.
And it never happens. And like, that's the weird thing. Like, we don't have to go down this road, but when Hasbro rolled out the Plasma series, I was thinking like, oh, this is going to be just like Black Series or Power Rangers Lightning Collection. We're going to get an assortment but I think the worry with Ghostbusters is always, you got to get the 4 main guys out there because that's what the masses want. And maybe that's true. Yeah. Listen, I'm never am one of those people who is like, the toy companies need to do this, that, and the other, because I get that I don't understand the toy business, or I have a limited understanding. But anyways, that's another rabbit hole. Definitely excited about Ninja Turtles. I think NECA could do a turtle blimp, and I don't think it would be as costly, you know, because the main buck would be kind of, you know, maybe like an $80 or $90 price point or something like that, where, you know, the main part of the blimp is, you know,
like the balloon,
a balloon, right?
Yeah.
You could probably do that for, you know, I would think they could make it affordable. Obviously I would love to see, you know, any kind of vehicles, party wagon, blimp, you know, any of that stuff.
Yeah. It kind of seems like that a party wagon is pretty possible. Cause Randy talked about that with me quite a bit the last time I talked to him. Yep. So I would love it. I hope we get it. Yep.
Lots of possibilities. Like I said, it's all very exciting. What a time to be alive. I've been saying that for 10 years as a toy collector. It's never been better than it is right now.
It's amazing. I think obviously, and we can talk about this too, if you want to get into it, like the hardest part about it, like we're getting so many cool items, which is great, but it seems like the method of obtaining these items is getting a little trickier with the modern retail setting.
Well, that's what people
and I think that's probably
I was just going to say that's
probably the biggest. That's the biggest hurdle right now. Sorry, I don't mean to keep talking over you.
No, you're good. We've got like a half a second delay. What I'm going to say is I agree with you, and that's the one thing people don't understand with no Toys R Us and no mass retail distribution besides Target and Walmart. It gets really tricky.
It does. And I said that when Toys R Us was closing. I was at the time when that was happening, I kind of expressed my worry for how that was going to affect the industry as a whole. Because whether people realized it or not, Toys R Us had a big impact on how the toy industry works, because they were an entire store dedicated to giving shelf space to toys. Whereas Walmart and Target have 6 aisles for toys, 7 aisles for toys. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of shelf space. So I was always worried about like the smaller toy companies or like the niche toy lines specifically, because without an outlet like Toys R Us, how do you put new toys out there and get them seen? You know what I mean? How do you try new things? It's hard to do that because when you've only got Walmart or Target to sell to. I mean, Walmart or Target's always gonna want your Hot Wheels, and they're always gonna want your Barbies, and they're always gonna want your Avengers because they got a bunch of movies that make a lot of money. But like everything else, like, you know, like how do you convince them to carry your product?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the worst part about this whole thing. And I think we're really starting to see the effects of that now, with the way that these stores are like they're mandating these exclusive items, right? And the toy companies kind of have to do these exclusive items because they need the guaranteed shelf space. And then it makes the items very hard for us as collectors to find them and track them down because they're exclusive to one outlet who's not reliable.
Exactly.
Yeah. know?
And it's also that thing where like it's really important for the toy companies like NECA or whoever to or McFarlane, like they, you know, we know what's coming out, right? Like anybody who knows, if you're in the toy industry or you have a toy podcast or a YouTube channel or whatever, we know what's going on. We're going to buy it. Like that sale is already happening, but they also have to count on, 35, 40-year-old dude who knows nothing about collecting toys walking through Walmart and seeing Casey Jones and Raphael in disguise and going, I've never seen anything like this before. What's this? And then, they got to make new fans as well.
Sure.
But then you got to deal with the scalpers. Like my text messages this week and my Facebook messages, it's like a network of people all over the state of Georgia, like hunting down Casey Jones. It's insane.
It's tough, man. And that's like what all social media is right now, is everybody trying to find Casey Jones. I've only got one Walmart in my area that even has the section that has NECA stuff.
Right.
And I have had zero luck, just nothing at all. Like I never find any of that stuff there. It's rough. I usually have to rely on, help from fellow collectors online, or if I'm lucky, obviously I get product from NECA directly sometimes, but I never expect it. No. And there's always like, I still have to hunt this stuff down too, and it's tough, man. It's been real tough lately.
It's tough, and it's I sometimes have to check myself because we're just outside of Atlanta, so I've got 25 Walmarts and 10 Targets within a 40-mile radius. So my experience is
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And that's why I've never had trouble. Like eventually I was able to get all the, the TMNT 2-packs or any with a new, Black Series hits or whatever. I'm able to go and find the stuff and get it. But if you're in a smaller town or a smaller market, it's disheartening because all of a sudden, instead of spending $50 on a 2-pack, which is already a lot of money, am I going to spend 100? Am I going to spend 120? And it's, I get, I hear people. But the flip side is there's only so much that the people, you're at the mercy of the retailers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the mercy of the licensing, right? We don't know what Playmates mandates from NECA or
that's the other part of it too. And I know that's really hard for people to understand. And that's not that's not a fault of anybody. Like I know Randy's been pretty upfront, like always trying to explain how the licensing works. And I know that the licensing with Turtles is strange because Playmates is technically still the master licensee on that. And they've definitely like loosened the grip in the past few years, which is why we have so many options now. But I think it still prevents people like NECA and Super 7 from outright putting these on store shelves readily available for people. Like, I think they have to be a limited item. They have to be a certain price point. Like, I think they have to hit the $50 price point. Right. Otherwise, they can't even be in stores.
Right.
That's why, like, NECA stuff isn't even in the toy section. It's like in the media sections of both Target and Walmart. Like it has to be away from the toys as not to cause confusion, whatever that means.
Exactly. It's so weird.
There's all kinds of weird stipulations that they have to abide by.
Yeah, it's just the thought that there's this other section separate from the toy aisle that has toys, but it's like, and the whole like adult collector thing like that, all those lines, like if you go down the toy aisle, I feel like everything is collector oriented these days, except for, maybe a couple, really kids focused lines, but like, let's get into these real Ghostbusters figures,
Yeah,
and I watched your video and I thought it was great and it was on point and, I get the frustration. I get the frustration, and it's not, people always want to figure out like who's to blame for this. And I'm sure there's a lot of people you could blame, but it's mostly a Walmart thing, which is I'm guessing, they signed this deal with Hasbro to have these exclusive figures. They put up this pre-sale and the pre-sales are always insane with like, you don't know what's going on. And, the stuff is either just not showing up or showing up damaged. And it sucks. It's really ridiculous.
I know. And I don't really know if this is, it's definitely a Walmart issue as far as the terrible shipping and the terrible pre-orders and all that goes, because, the same thing's been happening with the Masters of the Universe Origins figures, which are Walmart exclusive right now. So it's like, it's Mattel and Hasbro product that are both going through this exact same issue where like things are going up for sale sporadically, selling out within 10 seconds, and then the things that get shipped out are like in bags or bubble mailers, and they're showing up totally crushed, or they're folding them in half and cramming them in boxes that don't fit. It's totally insane. And I don't really even know what can be done about that. I don't know if like the toy companies have the ability to kind of step in and be like, hey, can we not do this with our product because you're making all of our customers mad and this is a bad look for all of us. Like, I don't know if they can do that. I hope something like that happens.
They need a toy czar. They need like they need somebody. They need Pixel Dan is what they need to come in. And then what you do is you do quality control. No, you already have a job. Yeah. But it would be nice if you know, you would think if Walmart started selling, like, I don't know, what did my mom used to collect? Like the weird porcelain sugar holders or whatever that stuff was. Like, you would think that if they knew that it was a collectible, they would have some sort of system to at least ensure proper packing. Like, there's always going to be some level of damage or whatever. That can happen with shipping. It happens with Amazon or whatever. But they need to do something. I do think they need to do something.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right. Like, obviously, we can't always guarantee that things are going to be perfect in shipping. But I do think that Walmart needs to be taking the extra steps. And I know a lot of people brought up Amazon too when I made that video. And I get it. Like, I've had things show up from Amazon that are messed up. But you know what? I get things from Amazon all the time. And it's not to the level that these Walmart things were coming in. Just not at all, you know? Like, so yes, you're going to get the bad Amazon employee, I think, from time to time that's boxing up your stuff. But one thing that Amazon does good is that they package things in as few of boxes as possible. Right. And Walmart will, like, you'll get a stack of boxes on your porch in one day that's all from Walmart. That's the same order. Yep. But for some reason they put them all in separate boxes, and there's no consistency between the way they package them. You know, like I would get those Ghostbusters figures. I got like 3 a day one day, and I got like, you know, I got the one that was like folded up and crammed into a small box. I got the one that was in a big box with lots of padding, and then I got one that was in an envelope. It's like, what is this insanity?
Doesn't it feel like somebody's playing a joke on you? Like, I remember in 1998, I exclusively collected WWF Jax figures, and I was in 7th or 8th grade, whatever it was, but I was a mint on card collector, so I'd buy them, hang them on my wall. Yeah. And then in like 10th grade, I realized it's going to be really hard to have any kind of social life with 300 wrestling figures on your wall.
Oh, come on now.
But then I decided, you know what? Who needs to talk to people? I love my toys. Which I very much did. Anyways, the point I'm getting at is that Christmas, my aunt got me a bunch of WWF figures, and she sent them to me, and she folded all of the cards. And I was like, and I'm opening and I'm like, I was so offended. So now I'm thinking, like, is my aunt working at Walmart? Is she the one? Is the joke still happening? No, but seriously, like it's been disappointing because people are so excited about these Ghostbusters figures. I mean, obviously, as Ghostbusters fans, like, you know, for us, for some people, it's about, hey, the originals, I'm never going to be able to get them on card. They're very expensive. This is a really great way to have that. And for us, it's like, I look at it as like a new part of the real Ghostbusters line for the first time in 30 years. And to have them either not showing up or showing up damaged, or what happened with us, which was nobody was getting their pre-orders and all of our Walmarts just had them.
Yes, that's what was happening. That's how it started with me too. And I haven't even found them in stores around here yet. It's weird. Like, I've checked the Walmarts, and because I got so frustrated that my pre-orders weren't showing up, I was like, I'm just going to walk in a store and buy them. But then I couldn't even do that. But I kept seeing so many people were putting up, you know, pictures with like whole sections filled with these things. And I'm like, well, then how come all my pre-orders are on back order? Yeah. And like, what is going on here?
And I think it was that running change of the card, which is another, like,
so weird.
You know, we've had conversations with folks at Ghost Corps over the past couple months about about the toys and the toy releases and stuff, and we're really friendly with them. And this, just another thing consumers never think about is just legally what can and can't not go on the card of a toy. Is crazy. It's just something you would never think about. But then they changed the SKU and it turned into chaos. So I guess now that we skipped over all that, what do you think of the figures? Do you like them?
I think they look awesome. I especially do like the packaging. Like you said, it's a really cool way to like get carded versions. If you just want to display them or whatever, I think they look neat. I did open up a few of them the other day since I've got such damaged cards. I was like, might as well open these up. Right. So I noticed that the plastic quality is quite a bit different from the originals. Right. Did you open any of them up?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got real soft gummy arms.
Yeah.
The arms real soft and real flexible. And the Ghost Buddies are way lighter and sometimes they're hollow. Yeah. So it was crazy because I pulled it out of the package and immediately noticed that the weight was off. I was like, whoa, these don't feel anything like the original ones. And then I came and grabbed some of my originals and I was just like, they're totally different. Yeah. I was like, they feel so different. They look really nice, but yeah, the obviously the plastic quality is a lot different. And that probably just has a lot to do with, standards have changed since the 80s. Obviously, if they want them to be at a certain price point, they got to do some stuff. So that's what resulted in them feeling.
I was happy that they kept it, $15 for a collector's action figures.
Super good price. Super good price.
They display really well. And
they display great. I love the Slimer, the Green Ghost. I think he's awesome. I always love that figure anyway.
Oh, yeah. It's probably top 5 Ghostbusters figure of all time is the original Green Ghost with the meat in the watermelon. Yeah, it's great. So listen, we got to talk Masters of the Universe, and so let me give you. I know our listeners are sick of hearing it, but I'm going to say it. So I have no nostalgic ties to Masters. I was born in 1984. By the time I came into my own, I guess that's what you do. You come into your own at 4 years old and you decide to become a consumer. And I was consuming Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles. And by that point, Masters was kind of, run its course. I have stayed away. I have completely stayed away I respect it. I used to buy and sell toys full time. I'm familiar with the vintage stuff. I have so much respect for it, but I always said I'm never going to go down the road of Masters. I'm never going to go down the road of Transformers. Just not my thing. A month ago, Zombie Sailor on Instagram, who's a toy salesman, a toy salesman, who we've had on the show before. He had a bunch of the 5.5 inch Super 7 Masters figures.
Yeah, man, I saw that,
and I was like, you know what? I need to be a well-rounded toy collector. I can't just have these. I can't just not. So I'll send you the pictures. So I've almost completed the 5.5 inch Super 7 line, and then I said because I'm very familiar with MOTU classics. We've had Scott Nyklink on the show to talk Matty Collector Ghostbusters. I know all about it. I know how crazy the aftermarket is. It's been 1 month. I'm over 30 classics now.
Nice.
It's and I was able. Somebody in the I'll shout them out in the Major Wrestling Figure their Patreon group. Somebody gave me an incredible deal on 25 figures.
Excellent.
And I got all because I didn't want to go down that road. I'm sure you're like, great, cool story, dude. But I just want to. I know how important Masters is for you. I was like, I don't want to go down the classics road because, to me, at this point, with secondary prices, with Skeletor and He-Man and all your main characters, I got Skeletor, I got He-Man, I got Scareglow, I got She-Ra.
Oh, nice.
So, but it's still tough knowing that these were $25 and $30 figures. But as a toy collector, seeing some of these go for $200-$300 a pop, I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's such a good line. I mean, we can talk about this a little bit too, but obviously I've had to do a lot of photography and everything.
Oh, I gotta talk about your book. I just bought my first Dark Horse book, my first Dark Horse Masters book. I'm gonna get them all. I go hard when I go.
Sweet. Yeah. So I kind of got to re-experience that line, and I lived through that whole line, obviously, because that that line started back in '08, which was about the time my YouTube channel was only about a year old at that point. And so like me and that toy line are kind of synonymous, you know. Pixel Dan and Masters of the Universe Classics kind of go hand in hand because I reviewed that entire toy line all the way through. So it's always going to be super special to me and really hold a special place for me. But I love those figures and getting them all out, and it sucks because I had to tear down my whole display basically.
Right.
And I still haven't put it back up. It's a mess right now because I've had to do tons of photography for the book.
Right.
But it was so much fun to do it, you know, because it really kind of just made me fall in love again with them and really just remember why they're so special and why they're so cool and just all the things we got out of that line. I mean, it was such a fan service line. It was there. I don't feel like there's ever been a toy line quite like it as far as like how complete it is and how standardized it is. I mean, that line lasted for 12 years and it like had a standard all the way through,
yeah.
right? Like the packaging never changed. The body type never really changed. It was like everything fits in together perfectly, and they got to so many characters and they gave you so many options with like alternate heads and alternate weapons to let you create mini comic versions of the characters or Filmation versions of the characters. It was unbelievable, the level of fan service that Mattel gave that line.
It's incredible. And knowing, like, for me, it's exciting. So obviously I was familiar, you know, I keep up with stuff enough to know that, you know, when Super 7 took over, you know, that was probably a kind of a weird, let's all take a deep breath and see what's going to happen moment, because that's pretty, that's pretty unprecedented for, you know, an active toy line to jump companies and continue.
Exactly.
So, but I've been able to, I've picked up some of the Super 7 stuff. I got all the William Stout figures and,
oh, those are some of the best, let me tell you.
So
that's definitely Super 7's best work as far as classics goes, because they nailed those. They're so good.
I have, right now I'm looking, I've got the movie Skeletor standing, and also I open everything. I can't.
Me too.
I can't, you know. But I've got the laughing Prince Adam standing next to Skeletor. It makes no sense, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got so many different like versions of these characters all in the same toy line. It's amazing.
But so like I said, I'm like going to do a history of Masters of the Universe. I'm going to go back and I'm going to relive all the stuff. So I'm watching the animated series for the first time in my life. I'm like 10 episodes in. It's great and it's funny and it's so much better than it really should be. But it's also that moment in time. Like I collect vintage Star Wars as well. Again, I've had Star Wars my whole life, but I wasn't around when the vintage line was hitting. So you got to really commit to, it's a different thing when you don't have like a nostalgia for it. So I'm going to, it's more of an appreciation than anything. I'm getting so excited talking about this. So, so yeah, I've got a bunch of the classics figures, and now I don't know if I'll go down the vintage road really and truly, because for me,
that's getting tough too. That's getting real expensive.
It's tough. It's expensive. And then you've got the Origins figures coming out, which I think, you know, I know they're not exact. Oh, look, there's Skeletor. Look at that. Could you do a review right now? When are those scheduled to hit stores?
So fall is the technical release date, and I think by fall they actually mean August. I think August 1st is actually supposed to be the in-store date for Walmart to get these. They're exclusive to Walmart this year, and then they're supposed to be at all retailers in 2021. Okay. So they've been popping in and out of stock on Walmart's website, and I think that's Walmart kind of jumping the gun, to be perfectly honest. And I know people are kind of scrambling already, like worried that they're not going to get them. I know, isn't that so cool?
That's awesome. now, if I had any hesitation, now those are.
They're fun. They're fun. So like because I got He-Man and Skeletor, and then I just got the Sky Sled, because that just hit Walmart.com and sold out right away. I got lucky that somebody nabbed one for me.
Cool.
I had to kind of like detach myself from classics with these, because they're supposed to be something totally different. Right. You know, like classics was 7-inch scale, like fully plussed out figures made for a collector. There's tons of paint applications, and they were sold direct to consumer. And, by the time they ended, they were $40 a figure, and then these are like $15 mass retail releases that are also made for kids to play with.
Right.
So you kind of have to like detach yourself, because they are different. They're a little more like they're trying to recapture the vintage feel of these, but they've added the articulation, and then of course they've got like swappable parts.
Yeah.
You mix and match all the parts, which is cool. And so they're honestly, they are really fun toys. And that's the way you have to look at them. They're fun toys.
They're fun toys. And that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be fun toys.
Exactly.
Do you? I was going to ask you about that. What was the when so Masters started off with the Classics line on Matty Collectors, about a $20-$25 price point, and then we all, I remember everything also hitting Big Lots, and what an insane time that was, where all of the, and then, but the loyal fan base, it made the line successful over a long period of time, and when it moved to Super 7, there was that price increase. Were people cool with that? Was it just kind of a necessary evil to be able to continue it?
Yeah. So it's definitely a tough pill to swallow. And I know that towards the end there, especially since some of these final figures we're literally at a point now where they're $40 a piece. And you kind of got to a point where like some people were definitely getting priced out of it, and that's totally understandable. But it was absolutely that thing where like we were moving from, the biggest toy company in the world to essentially an indie toy company. So Super 7's very small. They had to use their own factories, all that stuff. So of course the prices had to go up because they weren't going to get the same rates as somebody like Mattel. So it's one of those things where like I think the fan base was just really dedicated to keeping Masters of the Universe alive. So they stuck with it. Because I will always give the He-Man community, the Masters of the Universe community, the She-Ra community, all of them, so much credit for keeping this brand relevant for as long as it has, because it could not happen without this fan base. Like, this fan base loves these properties so much and has kept these brands going for so long. And I just hope that, like, with Mattel doing this new toy line, and I totally approve of them doing something in mass retail and trying to get a new audience involved. I think that's important. But I hope they never forget that the fans have kept this brand alive for as long as it has. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and it's incredible because it's similar to Turtles and Ghostbusters to a certain respect. It's been it's hit lulls, and then it's been kind of rebooted and rebranded. But the Classics run is legendary, and maybe
it's amazing.
Is there any chance you think they'll ever bring it back in some form, or you think it's probably donezo?
I really don't know. Yeah. I don't want to say one way or the other because I don't know. You never know.
That'll be clickbait tomorh. Pixel Dan says Classics coming back.
I know. That's I got to be careful. Yeah.
Right.
I've talked to Mattel about it, in my recent interviews with them, talking about Origins, and right now they're very dismissive of it because they don't want to talk about Classics. They want to focus on their new toy line. They want to focus on Origins. And I get that. That makes sense. There's definitely that level of, the questioning of why can't both lines exist at the same time?
Right.
Why can't we have a collector line that's geared directly towards the collectors and also have a mass retail line geared towards everybody? And I don't really know the answer to that. Mattel is dead set on making sure there's no brand confusion and focusing on one line at a time. So I think we're just going to have to live with that for right now.
Right.
And I don't know. We don't know what the future holds. Exactly. We might have another opportunity to get Classics again,
It's weird too, because in a lot of ways, Mattel was ahead of the curve with Matty Collector, with a collector's focused direct to consumer. And now it feels like they've fallen behind a little bit because Hasbro, being the other major player, is kind of killing it with Hasbro Pulse. I mean,
I know.
So it's interesting to watch that ebb and flow. So I want to talk about your book before we wrap up. And I guess I should tell you first, because I haven't told anybody, including close family and friends. I pre-ordered Snake Mountain, so I'm full in. So
we're gonna get that real soon too. I think within the next couple months.
Yeah,
here. So,
and I don't know where it's going, but
neither do I.
We'll deal with that when it happens.
Yeah, it's a problem for future Dan.
Right, exactly.
I have no idea where it's going.
100%. But yeah, it's been really an enjoyable thing to kind of dive into, and yeah, good stuff. So let's talk about the book.
Yeah, let's do it.
It was just announced, up for pre-order on Amazon. Labor of Love. I know how much work you put into this book. I can't even imagine. I mean, I know how much work it takes to make a 5-minute YouTube video with edits. So let's talk about it. Where did this get started? What is it?
Sure. Yeah. No. So so we are, of course, referring to the Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is the new Masters of the Universe official toy guide, officially licensed toy guide, being published by Dark Horse. It is currently slated for release in February of 2021, but it is up for pre-order right now, anywhere that carries books, so Amazon and all that stuff. It's super exciting. This has been about 2.5 years in the making at this point. We're almost going on 3 years basically of working on this book. It's one of those things I've always wanted to do, like I've always wanted to write a book, first of all, some sort of toy book. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. But basically, as soon as all of these Dark Horse Masters of the Universe guides started, I was right there throwing my name in the hat. If we ever get a chance to do a toy book, I want to write the toy book. And I just kept doing it, and I kept saying it, and I kept messaging my one of my best friends, Val Staples, who worked on this book with me. Both of our project together, but he was the lead on all the other Dark Horse Masters books. So I was always nudging him. If there's ever a chance for a toy guide, I was like, please keep me in mind.
Right.
And eventually I got the call. I got a phone call, and they were like, hey, we're actually interested in pursuing this toy book. Is this something you'd be interested in taking on? And so I said yes immediately. I was like, absolutely, I want to do it. I always knew going into it that it was going to be a ton of work. And I've even had people say, don't write a book. It's going to break you. It's going to kill you. People told me stuff like that, and I was like, probably, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I can tell you that this was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of writer's block. Let me tell you, writer's block is a real thing. I know that's like a thing, that's like a cliche thing, but man, I would sit there sometimes for days trying to get words out of my head.
Yeah.
And then I'd go on this rush, right? It would just be like, bah, 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 and it was real easy. And then I would just get stuck again. And it was crazy. Tons of research obviously had to go into this because I wanted to make sure that everything was as accurate as I can possibly get it. This is important, and a lot of people are going to look at this, and I never like to call myself an expert at any of this stuff. I'm a toy enthusiast,
right,
but I'm always learning. And I never want to say that I'm like the guy or the expert, because I want to make sure that I keep myself in that headspace where I always should be learning about this stuff. Right. So I've done a lot of research, and I've worked very closely with a lot of fans of the property. So let me tell you right now that this is not just my book. This is a community book. I could not have done this without the help of so many people within the Masters of the Universe community, whether they were helping me with photography, helping me with some of the writing, or letting me come into their homes and photograph their toys, which is what I had to do. I mean, me and Val and I flew all over the country and even into Canada over the course of 2 years, visiting collectors to photograph toys for this book.
That's incredible.
Because we wanted to have all original photography. I wanted to make sure everything in it was ours, and it was fresh, and it was new, and it was accurate. So a lot of time went into this book, and I really hope that it lives up to the hype. I am so thrilled to see that it's selling so well. I mean, it's been the #1 bestseller in its category since the day it went up for pre-sale, which is mind-blowing to me. But I also feel like it puts all this extra pressure on me because I'm like, oh my God, I hope people like this when they get it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I love a good toy guide, and unfortunately they're few and far between to find. There's a G.I. Joe one and there's a vintage Star Wars one, and they're all pretty good, but to basically you're filling a need, which is amazing, and it's a labor of love and it's a passion of yours, and that stuff, like everything you do, your passion for what you do comes through. So I have no doubt that the book is going to be incredible. We've been talking about it. We'll put up the Amazon links. Nobody, we need to tell anybody. So just so you document it starting from the beginning and all through, what's the cutoff point, which I'm sure that probably is stressful too, because
that was stressful.
Volume 2 is going to be right around the corner.
Well, that's the thing. So when we first got this, when we first secured the license and everything was good to go, we had a different release date that was much sooner, which was going to cut the book off before the last several waves of Super 7's Classics figures had come out and Snake Mountain. So it was going to be incomplete right off the bat, right? But we actually, we've had some delays along the way because that's just kind of the nature of the industry, especially when you're dealing with licensed material. And that it was frustrating, but it ended up working in our favor because now it is complete. This book is everything from the original Masters of the Universe toy line starting in the 80s, everything from She-Ra, Princess of Power, everything from New Adventures of He-Man, everything from 2000X He-Man, and everything from Masters of the Universe Classics all the way through Snake Mountain. Snake Mountain's even in the book. So
I've made such a mistake getting into Masters of the Universe. This is ridiculous. I need out. I need a bet. Let me ask you, are you in the market for a Scare Glow? No, it's incredible. I'm so excited about it. And
it's amazing. It's over 700 pages. So it's huge. It is huge. So
yeah, I bought the Dark Horse. I think the character guide is the one I bought. They had it, and for one thing, I just love a good coffee table hardcover book. I love those things. But that's great that you got through Snake Mountain. That's a logical cutoff point because there's nothing worse. I've got all these over the years they've put out these comprehensive guides to Ghostbusters, and the one from 2013. It's what does the future hold? Will there be a Ghostbusters 3? And it's just we're still trying to get Ghostbusters. Yeah, 2020. We still don't. It's delayed again.
So I'm pretty sure we were able to basically end this by saying, and then in 2020, Mattel's launching Origins and blah, blah, blah. So there's always going to be room for me to come back and do a volume 2, or, if there's another 10 years worth of He-Man figures, that could make another book. Or if there's only another 3 years of He-Man figures, maybe I can update this book to add Origins. The future's wide open for that. Cool. I don't want to think about that right now because I just want to get this done.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
But I should also bring up too, you just mentioned the character compendium.
Yeah.
And so I should mention that for anybody who's interested, who's been buying all the Dark Horse books, there is going to be an exclusive version of this toy guide that is sold through the PowerCon website that comes with a bonus additional guide that is an add-on to the character guide. So there's more characters and more stuff like that that's added on to that. And the only way to get that book is to buy this toy guide through the PowerCon website. Cool. So that's going to be coming real soon. We're just kind of waiting for some of the final numbers before we can list that one up for pre-order. But I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody that might want that extra book. I also did some writing for that book, so that's going to have some of my stuff in it too.
Cool.
So
I'm sold. Yeah. I'm sold. Exclusive to me, the word exclusive, I'm I'll buy anything. Cool. What is it? Let me get it. Let me get that. Other people can't get it and I can. Let me get that.
Well, I'll definitely make sure to share that information as soon as that's live, but I've been trying to make sure everybody knows you can buy the toy guide at all these places, but if you want an extra book, there's going to be this other one coming soon. Cool. So that's coming.
So. Well, super excited. Really appreciate you spending some time with me tonight. This was a lot of fun. We will, Pixel Dan, you've been doing this for a long time. You are the king of toys. Your YouTube, you really are. You're like, before I ever made a YouTube, like I watched your stuff. Like I've learned do's and don'ts, most 100% do's. If you want the don'ts for toy videos, watch mine. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, like I have so much respect for what you do, and we'll definitely have to connect down the road. Maybe Toy Fair 2021 will, maybe it'll happen. Hopefully it does.
I hope so.
And no, this was a lot of fun. Super excited about the book, and I really appreciate the insight because, as you know, it is daunting. Like I joke a lot about it, but when you're getting into something and you want to learn more, and you don't want to go you don't want to go down the wrong rabbit holes. So definitely leaning on, your classics reviews and all of the content on your channel, I want to be an expert too. I'm not going to write a book about it, but I want to be an expert.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to plug or get off your chest before we wrap up?
No, man. Buy the book.
Buy the book.
Everybody, please buy the book.
Buy the book. Buy the book. Everybody will. I'll have to talk to you off air. Maybe we'll work out something and do some giveaways or something. I want to get in everybody's hands because we've got a private Facebook group for our podcast. It's about 1,000 strong. A lot of Masters fans in there. And on Friday nights we do virtual toy hunting. We've been doing it during the pandemic. So we live stream our me and my wife. We get on eBay, and the last couple of weeks,
that's fun.
It's been a ton of fun, and it's right. This is all about community. So we've got whether 50, 60, 70 people hanging out, buying toys together, encouraging each other to make bad purchases. Half the time I venture, like I bought some Hot Toys for the first time ever. Just we're trying to. We can't go to toy stores or toy shows right now as much. So we've been doing it online. All that to say, I've got Battle Ram coming, the classics.
Yes!
It's coming this week.
Oh, it's so good. I got that sitting right here actually, because here's the back half of it.
Cool.
I pulled it out to compare it to the new jet sled.
Cool. Yeah. Ooh, that one cost me.
No, I bet. It's my favorite vehicle from Masters. I love the Battle Ram.
It's very cool. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Well, Pixel Dan, I will let you go. Thank you so much. We'll connect soon. And congrats again on the new baby. And you're in Springfield, right? Is that where you are?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, Illinois.
I'm from Chicago originally. I've been to Springfield many a time.
Nice.
Well, I used to be in a band. A band we played with all the time was from Springfield. They were called Park.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. But that was a lifetime ago. That was between after high school and before toys were the most important thing in my life. So
right.
Anyways, all right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, take it easy. Thank you, guys.
All right, bye.